Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Austin Perry Show. I'm your host, Austin Perry, and today is Monday, May 3rd, 2021, and this is episode 27 of the Austin Perry Show. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I would encourage you all to visit my website. I think you'll really like it. It is austinperry.org, and that's spelled P-A-R-R-Y. And if you would like to support my video content, you can find the donation link on austinperry.org. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a very interesting show tonight on episode 27 of the Austin Perry Show. I'm switching things up a bit. I'm doing it a little bit of a different format tonight on the show. And I have a few different videos for you. And we're going to see analysis from some of the biggest minds and the biggest names in the political newscasting arena. And so you're going to get a smattering of big brain, high IQ information tonight. And I have a few video selections that we're going to show here on the Jumbotron that we have here in the background. And the first video we have is from the great, the famous, the never replicated Tucker Carlson. Let's go full screen here. And here we have a short video selection from Tucker Carlson, and let's go ahead and watch this.
So the FBI showed up the other morning at Rudy Giuliani's house. They came in with a warrant and took his electronic devices. He is the third attorney who served former President Donald Trump to get that treatment. Interesting. We talked to the former New York City mayor about it at some length last night.
There was a big bang, bang, bang on the door, and outside were seven FBI agents. I said, well, don't you want these? And they said, what are they? I said, those are Hunter Biden's hard drives. And they said, no. I said, are you sure you don't want them? I mean, the warrant required them to take it. And they said, no, there is no justification for that warrant. It is an illegal, unconstitutional warrant.
Giuliani's killing me. Oh my goodness. Can you believe that? He literally offered to give the FBI the Hunter Biden hard drives that was in connection with the subpoena that they were executing the warrant on Rudy Giuliani's Manhattan residence for collecting electronic devices that they were trying to use as evidence against Mr. Giuliani to put him in prison. And then he offers to give the Hunter Biden hard drives, and they refuse. They say, no. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, folks. I mean, wow. Just craziness, just insanity, just blows my mind. I mean, just wow. So, that was a very interesting video. That was Rudy Giuliani on Tucker Carlson's show. And let's go ahead and go to the next video selection that we have here tonight on episode 27 of the Austin Perry Show. And we first showed Tucker Carlson. Now we're going to show Alex Jones. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a video selection from Alex Jones's website. And this is him reporting on Bill Gates, who just announced today, May 3rd, 2021, that him and his wife, Melinda, are actually getting divorced. And so Alex Jones, who happens to be a Bill Gates expert, made a special video talking about this and analyzing it. And it was just posted today. This is a new video. This is a fresh video. This is Alex Jones's take on what's happening in the world, and especially pertaining to Bill Gates in this video. So let's go ahead and watch this now.
Bill and Melinda Gates, with just a little money to spend, but a lot of skepticism about the academic approach, agreed to meet with Lori Zabin and her colleagues at Johns Hopkins, and they came away impressed. In 1998, Dr. Zabin became the founding director of the Bill and Melinda Gates Institute for Population Control.
The Bill and Melinda Gates Institute for population control.
What?
Well, the world's doctors have split up. Bill and Melinda Gates are splitting up after 27 years, and they asked for privacy for everyone. Well, you see, you don't get that privacy when you take your hundreds of billions and make it tax exempt and then invest it back in companies you own through your nonprofit.
Bill took Microsoft stock and he gave it to the Bill and Melinda Gates Family Foundation. So what do you think Bill got on his tax return for giving away $1 billion worth of stock? A $1 billion tax deduction.
So Bill Gates is way richer than Jeff Bezos, way richer than Elon Musk, because his money is laundered into these tax-free foundations. It's just in the last 20 years that he and Warren Buffett and a few others were allowed to put their money in this trust for the United Nations, for world population control. And that's what's really important here. Bill Gates has bought off the US and European media almost entirely. Remember back in the 1990s, he was busted up, Microsoft, for antitrust practices and stealing other companies' software? He was a known villain, but then he rebranded himself as the world's doctor. And then he went around the world and bought off over 100 of the major regulatory agencies, from communist China to what we've seen here in the United States, to India, to South Africa, over 100 countries. But now, in just the last 5 years, he's been kicked out of over 30 countries like India. And recently, India found out he was covertly behind the Pfizer mRNA Frankenshot, and they kicked that vaccine out of India as well. AstraZeneca has been banned in 21 European countries and dozens of others around the world. The reason that's important is Bill Gates tells you they're all safe and effective and you should take them. And he's heavily invested in 5 of the 7 major vaccines, not just the mRNA vaccines, but also he's invested through his tax-free foundation in the virus vector vaccines. So this is a big deal. Now, why did he break up with his wife? Or did she break up with him? Well, I know this. Bill Gates is now the most hated man in the world. People have got his statements about wanting to depopulate the planet, about wanting to get rid of old people. People have seen his statements about Planned Parenthood. They know about his father. They know about his mother at IBM. They know about the founder of IBM transferring his money to her and into his foundation. It's known that his father helped run Cold Springs Harbor. That's the eugenics base in New York. It's known that Cold Springs Harbor funded Hitler. It's known that Bill Gates is a eugenicist, depopulationist. It came out over a decade ago that billionaires meet in secret to discuss overpopulation, and said we're trying to aid the world government in setting up a corporate system to help implement this. And you see Bill Gates with Klaus Schwab and other world leaders wearing that little rainbow circle system that symbolizes the Great Reset, which means a post-industrial world taking carbon emissions to net zero, meaning no human-generated carbon, no fireplace.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Alex Jones's fresh take on the Bill Gates divorce situation and his analysis about how he is an evil super genius. And if you would like to see this video in its entirety, you can visit it at Alex Jones's website, which is band.video. I encourage you to check out that website. It's a very good website. So there you have it. We first had Tucker Carlson. We next had Alex Jones. Who do we have next who we're going to watch, discuss, and analyze the news? Well, we have Joe Rogan. The one, the only, Joe Rogan. And this is one of his new videos about the military-industrial complex. And so let's go ahead and watch a short selection of the Joe Rogan experience.
The Joe Rogan experience.
And this is a lesson we never learned in history that we really should have. But in World War I, Woodrow Wilson said he was going to make the world safe for democracy. That was the American mission in World War I. And at the time, the world certainly was not safe for democracy. I mean, Europe was all monarchs, pretty much. And we overthrew the monarchs. The monarchy is pretty much lost. And the ones that are still there are like monarchies in name only, England and stuff like that. And then in the next decades, you had the rise of Hitler, Stalin, or Lenin, and then Stalin. And you're like, oh man, those monarchs don't seem so bad all of a sudden now, you know? Like, oh shit, it turns out you could get rid of something and something much worse can come after it.
You
and
need a full-length plan.
But for Obama, who even goes, I think he acknowledged at one point that Libya was his biggest mistake. And he said not having a plan for the day after Gaddafi was overthrown was a big mistake. And it's like, yeah, I sure wish we had just lived through Iraq. Like, how could you not see that coming?
Right.
How could you not be like, oh yeah, and then after that, still tried to overthrow Assad in Syria.
Right.
And you're like, wait, so you don't
Pushback
see
on
this?
that?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember when they gave that speech, when he gave a speech on television, and everybody was like, fuck this.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were, it kind of just went away.
It was one of the most beautiful moments in modern American history. People really actually stood up and stopped a war from happening.
Yeah.
So instead, they just covertly funded the Al-Qaeda side of it. Jimmy Dore broke this down when he was on your show perfectly.
Yes.
There's those guys who go like, they tell the story of Syria, and it's like Mike Baker, who I love, but his version of the story in Syria is like, well, Assad started killing all of his own people, and so what are we going to do? Like, that's the story that they want to tell you, right? It's like, well, this guy's just so bad, he's killing all these people. You go,
Is that really
so
what
why?
Mike Baker's version of it was? It wasn't.
It's
that.
like, after all that.
That was a dark video when you saw him laying out the foundation that they had, and the fact that he was willing to do that and say it all in an interview on television.
Yeah, no, it was really, really creepy, and it's very hard to not look back at that.
This is the end, and that the rebels have captured, and they're all screaming and yelling and fucking going crazy.
Well, that's right.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Rogan with his guest detailing the military-industrial complex, which is just playing countries off one another, all for profits and for money and greed and power. And 2 F-bombs in that clip. I wasn't even aware of that, but now I have to list this video as not safe for children. So that's fine. I don't get my videos monetized anyways, because I guess I'm too controversial, or I guess I just don't get enough views yet. So that's neither here nor there, but very interesting video, very thought-provoking. That was Joe Rogan, one of the best newscasters in the game that's out there doing it, laying it down on a daily basis. I kind of try and emulate a Joe Rogan energy in my own Austin Perry show. So first we had Tucker Carlson, then we had Alex Jones, the great, then we had Joe Rogan, the Invincible. Now we have number 4, ladies and gentlemen. Who is it? Well, none other than Tim Pool. So, I brought you some of the best minds in newscasting and punditry and political analysis tonight. Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, Joe Rogan, and Tim Pool. Basically the A squad, ladies and gentlemen, and this is their fresh take on the news. So let's go ahead and watch and hear what Tim Pool has to say.
Joe Biden's ratings for his speech are in the gutter. Mainstream media ratings are in the gutter. Traditional liberals have won narrowly, and from this, they're going back to sleep. They're no longer going to pay attention. Well, this happens every time there is a major election, a presidential election. When the Democrats win, they go, hey, we did it, and then they're gone. But the bigger problem here is not the routine trend of Democrats not paying attention. It is that wokeness is souring among the general public and may lead to Republicans winning in 2022 and maybe even 2024, depending on who runs. Right now, famous Democratic strategist James Carville is warning the Democrats that this wokeness is divisive and regular people don't care about it. The DNC chair agrees, imploring Democrats to speak plain English. But when we look at some voting districts right now, it would seem that without the rage from traditional liberals against Donald Trump, they're going to lose. Because many people, they didn't like Trump. They voted against him. And moderates, hearing about state-sanctioned racism, naturally say, nah, I don't want any of that. Now you need to understand, wokeness isn't just critical race theory. Though many people focus on critical race theory, leftist identitarianism involves every aspect of identity. What the Democrats want, or I should say the woke Democrats want, is policy based on general identity, which could be your gender, it could be your race, it could be your age. That's what they're fighting for. And regular people don't like systemic discrimination, and they oppose this. This is resulting in some interesting things. Now that traditional liberals have lulled back to sleep, and Republicans and conservatives are still on the offensive, it's really bad news for Democrats, especially when you start smacking them in the face because they're white. Eventually, they're not going to like this. Eventually, they're going to start hearing from their children in schools what's going on, and eventually they're going to get angry and start pushing back. Well, the woke cult has permeated even into the CIA and many of our cultural institutions. It doesn't mean the war is completely over, though many have said, and even I've alluded to the fact that the woke may have won. They may have won the ground, but as I also said, the resistance still exists, and it's never over.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Tim Pool, one of the greats, laying it down, freestyling, talking about the news, analyzing it, discussing things. He's one of the best. He's one of the best in the game. Tim Pool's a legend. And so there you have it. I brought you the A Squad tonight with different analysis. You got to see snippets of it. You got to see segments of their newscasting. I hope that I opened your mind a little bit to think about new ideas, maybe something that you haven't thought about before, or maybe something that has intrigued you or something that has fascinated you. And I hope that this has brought you a smile or a laugh as well. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the Austin Perry Show for tonight. Wait, we have one more video. This is the last video of the night. We have... All right, there you go. We have chimpanzees flying drones. No problem. They're extremely smart. Who knows what else they're capable of? So that concludes this episode 27, Monday, May 3rd, 2021, edition of the Austin Perry Show. This is where we talk about current events, politics, culture, and news. As you can see, I have been switching up the show a bit. I brought you snippets and segments of 4 different legendary news personalities and talk show hosts. And I basically showed you segments of their show, which all those videos are new videos. They've all been posted today or within the last couple days. So I encourage you to look into those people that I presented you and look up their videos and start following their analysis, because they're really super smart people and they have amazing analysis on the news. And so there you have it. We had Tucker Carlson, then we had Alex Jones, then we had Tim Pool, and also Joe Rogan. So, ladies and gentlemen, I brought you the 4 best newscasters, the A Squad. And then I showed you a chimpanzee flying a drone. And that's episode 27 of the Austin Perry Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please visit my website, which is austinperry.org. And if you would like to support my video content, and if you think that I'm doing a good job bringing you the truth and exposing evil, then you can leave me a donation and just find the donation tab on austinperry.org. And that's spelled P-A-R-R-Y. And ladies and gentlemen, everybody have a great night. Thank you for watching tonight. I will see you tomorrow on episode 28. Everybody, love and peace. And goodbye.